Hi everyone. So in this vision video, what we're going to talk about are the three core themes that we've been able to pick out from analysing all the feedback from children, young people, from our staff, from volunteers, and from all the work with our external partners and helpline organisations. So the feedback is broken into three areas. So what we need to do better for children, young people, what we need to do to better support our staff and volunteers be there for those children, young people, and also what tools do we need to improve to help our staff and volunteers be there for those children, young people. And I'm just going to talk about a little bit in each of those sections, but then there will be further videos or other resources that we've done that we can link off to if you'd like more detail. So in the first one, what we do know that we need to do, and it's really clear from the feedback that we've had, is that we need to adapt to better meet the needs of the children and young people that are coming through to us. Um, we know that there are broadly three groups of young people that are trying to reach out to us right now. We've got the young people who come through on a one-off or an infrequent basis, make up 90% of the young people that try to come through to Childline. We also know that we've got a group of young people who use us very, very regularly. And even though they represent 10% of young people, actually, they almost represent up to half of our contact demand across PIB, chat, and voice channels. And then we also have got our nighttime only users. So what's really distinct about this group is that there are half of those that come through overnight exclusively use Childline overnight. So they have a really specific need to be able to talk to somebody in those very early hours and the kind of graveyard hours of the morning. Um, Childline, since its inception in 1986, has done absolutely fantastic things. It has quite literally been a beacon of hope and support for so many millions of children, young people. But it is a one-size-fits-all service. And what we do know from analysing all the data and from looking at the feedback is that a one-size-fits-all approach doesn't fit those three categories of young people that are coming through. So our one-off kind of or infrequent users really need us to be there first time every time. Particularly 2 in 5 young people in that group will only ever try us once, and so if we're not there on that chance, we lose them. We know that our young people who come through really regularly are absolutely crying out for more consistency. They're not looking for us to be any different as a service or to do anything differently other than just give them a more consistent experience when they come through to Childline. And that's particularly kind of vocalized if you watch the video around young people's feedback themselves. And for our nighttime users, we know that at the moment we're really struggling to get through to young people overnight. And young people are so clear. They want the service to be 24/7. They want there to be a night service. They want it to be unrestricted. They want to be able to talk to Childline about what's on their mind. And so we need to find a way of kind of resourcing that well enough that we can meet those needs of the young people who exclusively use us overnight. So what you'll kind of see coming over May, we've already got videos. The main idea around this has been around talk about moving away from that one-size-fits-all approach and growing parts of the service to meet those needs. So, for instance, growing a part of the service called Childline Connect that we could actually focus on working with those regular users, freeing up capacity for other parts of the service to focus on those one-off or infrequent users, and also doing something to better resource our overnight service. So there'll be other links to videos that explain more of that concept in detail. But equally over May, what you'll also hear from is Amy Pennell, who's a manager in our Childline Connect team, and she'll be bringing to life some of the recent case studies of young people that they've worked through in the Connect team as it currently stands, and how they're learning about consistency and really trying to tailor their approach to the needs of children and young people has really paid dividends and could be a model that we could grow in the service going forward. The second point is to do with our staff and volunteers, and that's really speaking to the fact that everybody that is part of Childline loves the service, me included. We're really passionate, we're really proud, and rightly so, but our staff in particular feel too stretched. Right, they know that this is not a 9 to 5 job, particularly our kind of shift workers like our supervisors on shift, and they recognise that it never will be 9 to 5, and rightly so. But the work-life balance that they have at the moment, the pressures they feel in the room to manage those shifts, are too great, and they need some support to make that easier to then be there for other staff and other volunteers, and help them be there for children, young people. Staff in general have also really focused on amplifying where they feel they add the most value in their roles and wanting to do more of that. So our volunteer coordinators, as an example, have talked about wanting to reduce some of the administrative burden that is often on them so they can spend more time engaging with volunteers, focusing on retention activities, helping be that consistent point of contact right through the entire volunteer journey. And that's the kind of thing that we need to look at as a service, is how do we really look at everybody's staff roles and add value, and focus on them adding value to the service and to what we can give to children and young people overall. The second point within this about what we're doing right now not being sustainable in the long run is around our volunteers. Now, we have an absolutely fantastic base of volunteers, but what we do know is that the commitment we are asking for at the moment is really high. So we're asking for 140 hours a year, but actually our data shows only 12% of our volunteer base can actually meet that commitment, and that's an us problem. That's on no one else. That fundamentally is saying something is wrong about that ask. And what we continuously get back from our feedback in exit surveys, pulse surveys, general check-ins, general kind of conversations around the teams, is the real need to offer more flexibility. And whilst we're really clear that that's a piece of feedback, what we're not understanding at the moment is how or what flexibility could look like if we were to do more with that. So what volunteers in particular will see over the course of May is a conversation in shift briefings and a little survey directly targeted at that question. What does more flexibility look like to you as a volunteer? Because what we've got to be in a place for, I'm so clear that for the service to really grow in the future, to grow its ambitions, to grow its reach, we have to have more volunteers in the service, and we have to better support the volunteers that we do have to continue to be able to meet that commitment. So we want to kind of tap into starting to shift the conversation from what into the how, and that's what volunteers will see over the course of May. And the third one will come as no surprise to anybody. It's that our technology, the tools that we give people to be able to do their jobs and to do their volunteering roles well, they actually need to be a help, not a hindrance, right? So they need to be an enabler, not a constraint. We need to get to a place where our technology is reliable and intuitive, and we all recognize the impact that not having technology doing that has on all the other parts of the organization. And what we really want to get into is a place where the technology just lets people focus their time on supporting young people or helping others to support young people. And so there are a couple of programs kicking off already that are doing lots of work at the moment to shape that in the right way, and you'll hear more about that over May. But those are the three core areas, and hopefully they just make sense. It shouldn't come as a big surprise, because actually what we've really tried to do in the Vision program is we started with a blank slate. We wanted to reach out to everybody on the ground and find out what was on their mind and what are the areas we need to focus on. And hopefully you feel this is a really good reflection of the things that we need to start moving and making some kind of decisions on. And that's where the conversations, particularly over May, will now be going. It is kind of shifting from the what, which are these three areas, into the how. How do we move forward with this? How do we grow the service? How do we make it the best Childline it can be for children, young people, and make that sustainable long term? So I really, really look forward to having those conversations with you over the future, and particularly over the coming weeks. Thank you.